Bloemfontein, the Supreme Court of Appeal moments ago dismissing Dr Nandipha Magudumana's bid to challenge her extradition from Tanzania. And Linda Mnisi was in court and joins us now live. Linda, that was very, very quick. It was all of a few minutes and it was over. It seemed to be an easy decision that the judge made there. Take us into court.
Hello? Yes.
Yeah, absolutely, man. In fact, it's a split. Majority of the SCA judges dismissing Dr Nandipha Magudumana's application with costs, but of course, one of them, a minority judgment. In fact, agreeing with you. Let's talk about that, Machini. You've lost yet another bid, but not entirely, really. How do you feel about that?
No, definitely. We welcome the judgment. Obviously, the next logical thing to do is to await the full judgment, peruse, study it, and do a mapping exercise in terms of the way forward. There are two judgments. There was one dissent, and we would also zoom into the reasons for the judgment.
I mean, that dissenting means that, like you've always said, you can take the battle forward because you believe that there was unlawful conduct from the part of the state in this matter. Are you going ahead? Is that now leeway for you to pursue a higher court?
It could be considered that way, to be blunt, and not to be euphemistic about it. It's one of those considerations to make when we do our mapping exercise. But rightfully say, we would have to consider strongly that we pursue the matter to the Constitutional Court. We remain resolute and we remain confident that we have a meritorious case.
You speak about, pursuing it in the Constitutional Court, and one of the things that you want that court to answer is the issue around consent and what it should look like, because throughout this period you've been saying, there isn't any case really that has dealt explicitly with consent and what it should look like. And in this case, it seems a bit shaky in the manner in which the state says she consented to being brought back to South Africa.
Indeed, and worse. Our argument is centered around whether one can consent to an illegality. That is the crux and the crisp question that has to be answered. And in our view is that there's no way that she could have even been considered to have consented, and worse, to an illegality. So that's a legal question, a very crisp legal question that needs to be properly ventilated.
Let's talk about the criminal trial now. Obviously, this would have a direct bearing on the criminal trial. It was pushed down to July. We don't know if you're going to be, filing those papers in the Constitutional Court and when that will happen. But July is just around the corner. Are you going to trial?
No, look, we have to. You would appreciate that my client has been in custody for a very long period of time, and that the right to a fair trial encompasses, among others, the right to be brought before a court of law and be dealt with speedily. And now we cannot be seen to be the cause of such delays. Any delay which is unreasonable will be frowned upon by us. We would forge ahead on the 21st of July, and hopefully, if everyone is ready, we should be ready to also, deal with the matter. Obviously, you would understand that we would be having a matter that is pending. So, depending on what happens with, if we have instructions to pursue the matter to the Constitutional Court, we'll have to really look at our strategy into the trial.
Yeah, and just before I let you go, I mean, you say you want to go on trial, but obviously there will be the pleading stage. Are we not going to see you raise the issue of jurisdiction during pleading stage?
Yeah, let's not put the cart before the horse. It might trip. Look, there are a myriad of legal issues that we'll have to take into account, leading up to us, appearing and pleading. So one cannot rule out a possibility of, pleading in terms of Section 106. We can't rule it out. We can't.
All right, thank you very much. That's Machini Mutlong Iman, the lawyer of Dr. Nandipha Magudumana, really saying that they remain resolute during this entire process. They will, of course, continue to pursue other legal avenues, and that's the possibility of going to the Constitutional Court to deal primarily with the issue of consent. The reasons to this judgment at the moment, Iman, are not known. So it's very difficult for them to really delve into the merits of this judgment and how, those judges reached this conclusion. But at the moment, what we know is that there was a majority judgment and there was a minority judgment, and those in majority seem to feel that, this particular application is without merit, and they've dismissed it with cost. The minority judgment says it upholds the appeal, it upholds it with, costs, and this perhaps is a way forward. It is a lifeline that Dr. Nandipha Magudumana could possibly use as an avenue to go to a higher court. They're saying that they don't want to, delay the proceedings any further. They want to go on trial. But I'm joined now by Mthunzi Mhaga, NPA spokesperson. Mthunzi, thank you so much for your time. You must be pleased with the fact that the majority judgment has ruled essentially in your favor.
You are right, Linda. This is a vindication of our long-held view, firmly so, that the deportation from Tanzania in 2023 of Dr. Magudumana was above board. There was no untoward conduct on the part of the team that escorted her. We note the minority judgment that upheld the appeal. However, we strongly believe that we'll meticulously and vigorously argue for it to be dismissed, even if they were to explore another avenue, which is the last hurdle, the Constitutional Court in Braamfontein. We will now make sure that at least we strengthen our prosecutorial arsenal for the trial and for the Constitutional Court process, if it does happen.
I mean, in all this process, she seems to be scoring a point. If you go back to the High Court, it said, this was an extradition disguised as a deportation, but now there is a minority judgment that seems to give her another point, which she may use to go to a higher court. Are you not concerned about what it says about the processes that the state follows when it deals with these issues?
The evolving manner of jurisprudence in South Africa is quite interesting, because now we get to see our practitioners in action. Research skills, their legal prowess gets polished. Let's take you to the Constitutional Court and see what I am saying to you demonstrated in action. Obviously, there had been those findings by Lopsha J, now Mohoga J, minority judgment. It's an indication that, look, South African law is alive.
And I mean, are you not concerned that come pleading stage, they might argue the issue of jurisdiction, because it's their long-term held view that, perhaps the criminal court does not have jurisdiction over her, given, of course, the extradition issues?
Of course, it's open to them to invoke Section 106(1)(c) of the Criminal Procedure Act, which talks to a special plea of lack of jurisdiction. But the problem that they're going to have is that there was no extradition, there was a deportation. Therefore, there was no foreign court that ventilated the issue. The only court that will ventilate the issues for which she has been charged is the South African court here in Bloemfontein. So it's going to be quite a mammoth task for them. They have a mountain to climb. We are ready for it.
And let's talk about the trial. I mean, the trial date was kicked down to July, and they're indicating that they're ready. They'll be going on trial.
They're going on trial or on appeal?
On trial. On trial they are going.
We are ready for the trial. I've said to you, we will now channel all our energies. Our prosecutorial arsenal will be unleashed on the 21st of July, 2025. And it is our hope and belief that there won't be any undue delay to those proceedings on 21 July.
Mthunzi Mhaga, thank you so much for your time. NPA spokesperson there, talking to us about that particular judgment. Iman, quite interesting that they seem, quite positive and, confident about the journey that lies ahead in the criminal trial of Dr. Nandipha Magudumana and Thabo Bester, which is set down for July. So it seems that all parties will want to go, but obviously, by the look of things, it may not just go smoothly without any, hurdles. He is already intimated to the fact that they might consider dealing with those issues, but would not want to put the cart before the horse because, as he says, it might trip. So we look forward to July, which is around the corner, Iman. This matter, was postponed to deal with these issues because the understanding is that Thabo Bester is also dealing with issues of his laptop and his constitutional right to have access to it. So all of those issues were really the cause of why in January this matter could not proceed. But it seems from both parties, at least from Dr. Nandipha Magudumana's team and the state, they're indicating they will, of course, continue on in July.